Coming up on Focus on Sports, we take a look at the Fresno State 25-17 loss to Washington State on Saturday.
Plus, we see how the volleyball team did over the weekend at the Save Mart Center. Focus on Sports starts now.
Hi, I'm Brian Welch.
And I'm Ethan Mata.
Bulldog football team is now 3-3 on the season after falling to Washington State 25-17 on Saturday. Bulldogs had a lot of trouble containing Washington State's quarterback John Mateer throughout the game. Mike King and the Bulldogs marched down the field in the second quarter until King threw an interception in the end zone. King threw 2 picks on Saturday. There was hope for the Dogs in the second half with Elijah Gilliam running it in for 6, but a pick 6 sealed the deal for the Cougars with a 25-17 win against Fresno State. Interim head coach Tim Skipper says costly mistakes hurt the Dogs.
The effort was good tonight. It's all about playing smart. It's limiting the turnovers. It's limiting the penalties. Those things were killing us. It's like we got emotionally hijacked and we were doing things we shouldn't do.
Bulldogs have a quick turnaround when the Dogs head up to Reno to take on the Nevada Wolfpack on Friday night. And Mata, you and I were both at the game, and I mean, it was a very sad game to watch at Valley Children's Stadium.
100%, you know, in that third quarter, up 1 point, 17-16, I was feeling myself. I thought we were about to walk away with the win. Yeah. And, you know, that pick 6 was a gut punch to the entire stadium, took the air out of everyone.
And also the running game was a positive, especially with Elijah Gilliam, 120 yards with that touchdown we just showed. But, I mean, it was just missed opportunities with 2 missed field goals. I mean, you look at it right now, you see what can the Bulldogs do offensively against Nevada?
Offensively, I think it's just more of like Tim Skipper said, getting out of their own way with the mental mistakes. There was a lot of opportunities there for them. Like you said, those 2 missed kicks, 6 points that could have been on the board. That makes it a 2-point game with the field goal to win it. I also think the defense was a great performance on the field. They put a great performance on the field this week against Nevada. I honestly think it's just getting back to the basics and figuring everything out.
And also that was said in the press conference that Malik Sherrod is week to week with his injury, and also it is Josiah Freeman out with a long-term injury. So the Bulldogs will be missing 2 key pieces possibly this week in Nevada.
I think the biggest takeaway from this game is that the Bulldogs fought compared to 2 weeks ago where they just lay down and got beat. This week they fought until the very end. But moving on to women's soccer, the Fresno State women's soccer team had a one-on-one draw versus UNLV on Thursday, and then they hosted Nevada on Sunday. Fans filled the seats early. The Bulldogs looked prepared as they warmed up for the game. It was a defensive game from the start. Both teams struggled to find good shots in the early minutes. Halen Miller got the Bulldogs on the board first. Fresno State took the lead into the half, but in the second period, it was all Nevada. A goalkeeper change and some bad defense allowed the Wolfpack back into the game. They took a 2-1 lead, forcing the Bulldogs to play from behind. The opportunities were there, but the Bulldogs failed to capitalize. Nevada wins 2-1. So yeah, Brian, you were commenting this game. We were both there, but you had the best seat in the house.
Yes, I did have the best seat.
What did you see from that point of view?
You know what? It's kind of a tale of 2 halves, especially in that first half. The Bulldogs looked really good offensively, with a lot of offensive chances, and also with that 1 goal from Halen Miller. But it just felt like the wheels fell off the wagon in the second half, especially with the defense, how they played, and also with the goal change from Ashton Conley to Savannah Battaglia. The Bulldogs right now play probably one of the toughest weeks in their schedule, going to New Mexico this week, and also on Sunday going up against San Diego State. The Bulldogs have to be tight to find a way to get to conference.
Yeah, they definitely have to bounce back. I think they played a great game overall, but you touched on it. That goalkeeper change, as well as some of those inconsistencies on the defense that weren't necessarily there in the first half, were exploited in the second half, and that led to that 2-1 deficit. But I'm very excited to see what they do the rest of the week.
After coming off a victory against UNLV on Thursday night, Fresno State's women's volleyball team was back in action against San Diego State on Saturday. The Dogs in the first set played well, especially with this ace-like from this one from libero Gianni Fraga. Bulldogs took set 1 25-17 against the Aztecs. It was also Alumni Day as former players from the Fresno State were honored during the break. The Dogs and the Aztecs went back and forth in set 2, but the Aztecs prevailed, taking the set 25-21. Took 5 sets to get the job done as Fresno State beats SDSU 3-2. Addison Haluska says the 4th set was the key for the Dogs.
It was really important just to build momentum for the 5th set. I mean, once we lost that other set, we had to go 5 sets.
Following the match, Addison Haluska received Mountain West Player of the Week. The Bulldogs are on the road this week, taking on Air Force and New Mexico.
Fresno State Focus has a high success rate with getting students where they want to be after graduation.
Bianca Gonzalez is with Gabe Camarillo to learn more. Bianca?
Thank you, Brian. Here at Fresno State Focus, students get the chance to get hands-on experience just like Gabe Camarillo did a couple of years ago. Except you've been working in the industry even since you were a student. Can you tell me what you were doing?
Yes. While I was at Fresno State, I was working at ESPN Radio, first as a behind-the-scenes intern almost. I was getting paid, but not much. And then I started having my own show right after I got out of Fresno State. And I had that show for a year and 9 months.
Wow, and what'd you do on that show?
I talked about Fresno State, just like I did here on Fresno State Focus on sports and Fresno State Focus, the news edition. And I talked about Fresno State football, basketball, talked about our local high schools. And of course, I talked about some of the former locals that are in the NFL, like Josh Allen, Derek Carr, and then the NBA, Jalen Green.
I love that. And how did your experience here at Fresno State Focus help get you to where you are now?
There's nothing better than live reps if you're trying to get better for on-camera television. I feel like me being on camera here, me talking to the cameras and talking to you or talking to, Brian Welch's of the past helped get me better because I was able to simulate what it was like to be in a newsroom. And I got to tell you, working at Fox 26 for 7 months now, what Fresno State Focus does is almost exactly what they do in the real world.
And then can you tell me a little bit about your job right now at Fox 26 and what it is that you cover?
Yes, I cover, just like I did on my ESPN show, everything local. So Fresno State football right now is the big sport that we kind of just dominate every single day. We, Monday through Friday, use a soundbite from the press conferences, and then Saturday, Sunday, give you the highlights from that weekend's game. We also talk about, as I said, former locals in the pros, your Derek Carrs, your Devontae Adams, your Aaron Judges, who's going to play in the ALCS in a couple hours here. We just talk about everything local. And then, of course, if there's a huge national story, we'll talk about that as well on Fox 26.
Thank you. Now, my last question is, there's a lot of students here in our MCJ department that want to get into sports and get into the position that you are now. What do you think they should do now to get there?
Get the reps. Go on Fresno State Focus. Go on Focus on Sports. Because like I said, if you want to be on camera television, if you want to be in front of many eyeballs in whatever market you're going to go to, you have to get comfortable with it. It could be kind of stressful knowing that there's someone at home watching you, maybe judging you, but don't let that affect you. Because at the end of the day, if you do your job right, if you can tell a good story, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what other people think. It matters if you can give the best you can give every single day.
All right. Thank you so much, Gabe. Coming up on Fresno State Focus, we take a look at the MLB postseason and a Central Valley native who is in the Chicago Marathon this morning when we come back.
I got the bulldog spirit up in my head.
Up in my head.
Up in my head.
I got that bulldog spirit. Up in my head. Up in my head to stay. I got that bulldog spirit. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. Got that bulldog spirit. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart to stay. I got that bulldog spirit. Down in my toes. Down in my toes. Down in my toes. I got that bulldog spirit. Down in my toes. Hey. Down in my toes to stay. I got that bulldog spirit. Up in my head. Deep in my heart. Down in my toes. I got that bulldog spirit. All over me. All over me to stay. I got that bulldog spirit.
Deep in my heart.
Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. I got that bulldog.
Hey, welcome back. Now let's shift gears to MLB's postseason. There are only 4 teams remaining, and 2 of them will make it to the World Series. The NLCS took place yesterday at Dodger Stadium where the Dodgers and the Mets faced off. This is the first matchup since 2015, and it was really intense from both sides that year. This game was one-sided where the Dodgers shut out the Mets 9-0 with the bat production from Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, and of course Mookie Betts. Game 2 is happening right now as we are in the where the Mets are leading 6-3 against the Dodgers in the bottom half of inning number 8. The game 1 for the ALCS, the matchup between the Guardians and the Yankees, where Aaron Judge will be playing in a couple hours, is happening in less than 20 minutes. And Mata, this is a very interesting postseason for MLB. You know what? You have Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, you have the Guardians, you have the Mets. It's really a very intense postseason so far for the MLB.
100%. You look at the postseason this year, there's so many headlines to start, like you said. So Shohei Ohtani's first season with the Dodgers, will it end in the ring? That's very historic. Dodgers versus Yankees, possible World Series matchup. Who wouldn't want to see that, right? Like I'm dreaming of that matchup. Judge versus Ohtani, I think that would feed families for years to come, right? Very interesting postseason. Who is your postseason matchup that you'd like to see?
You know what? I mean, being from the West Coast and being from California, I would say that you have to go with Dodgers, Yankees. I mean, that's like American Pie. That is like American bald eagles flying all over the place. It is a classic Americana matchup. And I believe, you know what? You have two giants in baseball clashing in October. It's one of the most beautiful things you've ever seen in your life with the Yankees and the Dodgers. And you know what? Especially with Aaron Judge having a slump in the playoffs, he has to find a way to overcome that and try to get his Yankees all the way to the World Series.
Yeah, I think it's been a pretty historic MLB season. It's going to continue to be historic the way it's looking like might play out. What do you think will be the biggest headline when it's all said and done this year?
Aaron Judge hoist the trophy.
Oh,
you know what? I mean, he's been that close for so many years.
Fresno native, too.
Yeah, that's correct. Former Fresno State Bulldog. I mean, you know what? If he's able to get himself a chance to get that ring, that'd be very special in New York.
I agree with you. Thank you, Brian. Moving on, CJ Albertson just won the Chicago Marathon. Happened today. The Valley native finished first. We covered him on Fresno State Focus last semester, where this marathon he finished with a time of 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 17 seconds. Albertson is the head coach at Clovis Community College. So we're talking about sports, right? We got baseball, we got soccer done. Let's talk about running. CJ Albertson ran away with that title, blew everyone out the waters. And this is someone who was just a couple seconds away from being an Olympian.
That's correct.
What are your thoughts on this?
You know, it's really cool to see him be at top level of running. I mean, there's countless names in the San Joaquin Valley that are gone to greatness, especially at the Olympics, but also in the marathon running circles. I mean, it's especially very impressive for him to run 26.2 miles. I can't even run 400 feet, but hey, 26.2 miles, very impressive accomplishment for him. 100%. I mean, also, him being from the Valley, very good showing for the Valley.
Yeah, what type of music do you think CJ is listening to on that run? It's 4 hours. It's a long time. It's a very long playlist.
Well, I mean, 26.2 miles. You could probably have some classical music, so it gets the run done faster.
Some Mozart?
Well, yeah, kind of, or some Beethoven.
Oh, a Beethoven guy. Fresno State has a busy schedule this week.
The women's tennis team is currently competing in the ITA Northwest Regional Championships in Berkeley today and tomorrow.
On Thursday, the women's soccer team is taking on the Lobos of New Mexico, and the volleyball team is taking on the Air Force. All right, so it's that part of the show, Brian. We all like it. We're all waiting for it. Who's your top dog of the week?
Well, we gotta go senior first. You gotta go,
okay, yeah, for sure. I'm going with Dione Fraga. We're gonna keep it with volleyball. I just think she's the heart and soul of that unit. You know, if you take her out of that team, I don't think they're as good as defensively. I don't think they get as many offensive opportunities with the setups. And I think they're just a completely different unit without her.
You know what? For my top dog of the week, you know what? I picked a Bulldog soccer player last time. I'm picking another Bulldog soccer player this time. It is Kaylin Miller was my top dog of the week. You know what? 2 goals on the weekend for Kaylin. Very impressive showing. The Bulldogs had a lot of struggling moments this weekend, but Kaylin Miller was the bright spot for the Bulldogs against UNLV and Nevada. And that's our show. We have more sports coming up for you on our newscast this Wednesday afternoon at 4.
We'll be right back next week to bring you more in our weekly sports show. Have a good day.